Welcome back, and in this video we have 4 different stories that have come out of the infamous Area 51, also known as Dreamland. Each one of these stories are completely different. The last story will really get you thinking about what is going on at Area 51. Located in southern Nevada, USA, Area 51 is a top secret military base used for the research and development of advanced technology that could be potentially used as a weapon of war alongside using the site to test nuclear weapons. In November 2022, a man named Jörg Arnu had both of his houses raided by FBI agents, seizing his goods such as cameras, drones and other items he possessed related to Area 51. The information he collects is uploaded to a website called dreamlandresort.com, where he supposedly leaked classified information on the top secret base. Whatever the man came across is clearly information in which the government does not want exposing.
Jörg Arnu, a naturalized citizen, has devoted much of his life to understanding the base. His website, dreamlandresort.com, is a clearinghouse for all things 51, including photos and videos of the base and anything flying above it. But on November 3rd, he learned the hard way that something on his site had apparently gone too far. More than a dozen agents from the FBI and Air Force OSI smashed through his gate, broke through his door, and stormed into his home.
I'm asking, okay, what is going on? What are you doing in my house? To which I'm looking basically at this point at a riot shield and a gun that was drawn and pointed at me, and an agent in a stern voice giving me commands to turn around, hands against the wall. He then proceeded to yank my hands pretty violently back, handcuffed me very tight. I mean, it really hurt. I got the message that, hey, these guys are serious. My various computers, 3 or 4 laptops, cell phones, memory sticks, backup drives, my camera equipment that is worth almost $10,000, my drone, everything was taken. I was presented with a list of items that were taken, but not with the reason why they were taken.
At the same time, another team of more than a dozen agents kicked in the door of his Las Vegas residence, rousted and detained his girlfriend, and then conducted another vigorous search.
As she got out of bed, in her underwear, no shoes on, barefoot, she was led out into the street, in the middle of the street, in full view of all the neighbors, and subsequently our homes were searched.
Arnu says he repeatedly asked what he had done and received hints from an agent that one or more images on his site showed something that's classified, but no one will tell him what it is or which image crossed the line.
Despite numerous inquiries and feelers, Dennis has remained anonymous until now. His real name is Robert Lazar, a young scientist with eclectic interests.
Bob Lazar is a well-known whistleblower that has previously surfaced some classified information on the advanced technology that is being held at Area 51. The physicist claims to have worked on the reverse engineering of ET spacecrafts. Bob says that the technology that he worked with is not from this planet, as the humans do not have the capability of engineering these crafts. He also mentions seeing small people at the base who were referred to as the children. These people are assumed to be extraterrestrials. Bob clearly upset the officials at Area 51. They repeatedly threatened him and made him appear like he didn't work at the S4 complex in the Nevada desert in the first place.
Lazar's story is by any standards fantastic. He says he's telling it in order to protect himself. He says he was hired to work at an area called S4, which is a few miles south of Groom Lake. At S4, he says, are flying saucers, antimatter reactors, and other working examples of technology that is seemingly beyond human capabilities.
Right, this came from somewhere else. I mean, as bizarre as that is to believe, but I mean, it's there, I saw it. I know what the current state of the art is in physics, and it can't be done. Well, they're trying to make me a non-person.
Explain. You called where?
Well, the schools that I went to, the hospital that I was born at, past job, and essentially nothing comes up with my name in it.
He smiles, but out of futility, knowing the whole thing must sound ridiculous. According to Lazar, his employer was the United States Navy. He says he and other government employees would gather near EG&G, fly to Groom Lake, and then a very few people would get into a bus with blacked out or no windows and drive to S4.
When you get off the bus, what do you see?
It's a very interesting building. It's got a slope of probably about 30 degrees, which are hangar doors. And it has textured paint on it, but it looks like sand. It's made to look like the side of the mountain that it's in, whether it's to disguise it from satellite photographs or what.
He says he was never told exactly what he'd be working on, but figured it had something to do with advanced propulsion. On his first day, he was told to read a series of briefings and immediately realized how advanced the propulsion was. It took a while, Lazar says, before he actually saw one of the flying discs. However, there were hints everywhere.
Right, they had a poster, and it looked like a commercial poster almost, like it was lithographed and you could buy it at a Kmart or something. But they were all over the place, and it had the disc that I coined the term the sport model, was lifted off the ground about 3 feet at area S4 on the dry lake there, and the caption on the bottom said "They're here," and those are just all over the place.
Later, he got to see the real thing.
When I was let in, it was the first time I saw the sport model in the hangar sitting down, and I was told they could have walked me in the front door, but they purposely wanted to walk me by it. I was told not to say anything and just keep my eyes forward and walk past the disc into the office area. And I did, and as we went by it, I just kind of stuck my hands on it just to run it alongside the thing, and that was about the smallest time. After that, I got to see it actually lift off the ground and operate.
But you also, in between that, you saw more than one.
Yeah. The hangars are all connected together, and there are large bay doors between each one. And there were 9 total that I saw, each one being different. Like they had the assortment pack.
Security at S4 was oppressive, Lazar says, and his superiors used fear and intimidation almost as a brainwashing tool.
It did everything but physically hurt me.
Put a gun to your head?
Yeah.
And said what? What, actually put a gun to your head?
Well, they did that even in the original security briefings. They had guards there with M16s, and guys slamming their finger into my chest, screaming in my ear, some people pointing weapons at me. Like I said, it's not a good place to work.
Terry Tavernetti runs a corporate security operation and is a former Los Angeles police officer. He put Lazar through 4 tests and concluded there was no attempt to deceive.
And I left there thinking that I feel we do have some credibility to what the subject had to say.
The Roswell UFO case is a famous story of a UFO that crashed onto a rancher's property back in 1947. Roswell is located in New Mexico, USA, and the craft is said to have been struck down by lightning, causing it to crash. The UFO was found by Max Brazel, who delivered the wreckage to the local sheriff, and was then brought to the Walker Air Force Base in New Mexico. The link between Roswell and Area 51 happened when a whistleblower at Area 51 stated that he had seen a UFO and a small extraterrestrial. Although people have many different beliefs about what really happened in Roswell, a testimony from a nuclear weapons engineer states that the UFO was not from another planet. He claims that the UFO came from Russia, and that the individuals inside the craft were a product of an experiment that made these humans appear to look like aliens. The same experiment was then attempted later on by American scientists at the Area 51 base.
What the Russians do, we do. Look, I've written 5 books about this.
We altered people to make them look like aliens?
According to him, we had a small program in 1951 where we wanted to see how the Russians did what they did, how they made human beings look like this.
So what'd they do, take prisoners or something? Like what, who do they alter?
He said they were handicapped children.
Oh, Jesus.
And he told me that he participated in this. So again, I mean, unless you have someone that lost their mind at age 90 and was willing to tell their wife of 65 years, I lost my mind.
But to most of the world, Area 51 is famously known for the alien conspiracy theory that involves a UFO that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Jacobson cites an anonymous source who gave her a surprising explanation.
A flying disc really did crash in New Mexico, and then it did wind up at Area 51. It did not come from Mars, it came from Russia.
And Jacobson's source claims there were pilots in that flying disc, not aliens, but Russians.
And this is the information that came to me from the source, who I absolutely believe, I stand by. I've spoken with him since the book has been published, and what he said was that the child-size aviators had been the byproduct of this horrific human experimentation program by Stalin in collaboration with the doctor from Auschwitz, Dr. Joseph Mengele.
So he invaded our airspace and then let this drone crash land on the ground with these things that turned out to be human.
Yes.
They looked like aliens, but they turned out to be humans that were manipulated surgically to look like aliens.
Yes.
In 1952, President Truman delegated the Majestic 12, which was a group of 12 unknown men in charge of contacting UFOs and aliens. The 12 men at Area 51 succeeded in making contact with aliens and invited President Eisenhower to meet them. The president then supposedly made a deal with the ETs, where the aliens would provide them with exclusive tech information, and in return the ETs wanted to be able to abduct a certain number of humans, where the government would then cover it up. This information was to be kept secret and protected at all costs.
The treaty stated, the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and we would not interfere in theirs. We were particularly interested that they do not interfere with anything that would affect our future, which has been violated. We would keep their presence on Earth a secret. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development, with the stipulation that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to their point of abduction, that the humans would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis. And this is not being done. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would exchange 16 personnel each to the other with the purpose of learning each of the other. The alien guests would remain on Earth and the human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specified period of time, then return, at which point a reverse exchange would be made. I have no knowledge whatsoever of what happened to those original 16 humans who left the Earth with the aliens.
According to UFO investigators, since World War II, the U.S. government has known of countless UFO sightings and encounters that were probably caused by extraterrestrial beings. Yet every president has barred disclosure, except for one, John F. Kennedy. Might his desire to divulge secrets related to the UFO phenomenon set the stage for a dire confrontation?
Kennedy was pursuing policies that really were at odds with the national security establishment. He was sticking his nose into the UFO subject, and that's the final straw. Can't let that happen.
President Kennedy had expressed the view that the US government should be sharing technology. And if there was alien technology in the mix, that would have been on the table too. Some people might have gone to any lengths to prevent it.
An out-of-control battle between the president and the deep state over UFO secrets? Is it possible then that the events of November 22nd, 1963 were the deep state's solution to bringing this conflict to an end?
Declassified government memo emerged that some thought provided new possible motives for the agency's involvement in the assassination. A document written by JFK himself.
10 days before JFK was assassinated, he had drafted a letter to the CIA requesting all UFO documents to be released to him.
In the letter, the president also orders the agency to share their secret UFO files with NASA.
It says to the CIA, you will share this information about these unknowns, which means UFOs. You share this so that NASA's mission directors will be assisted in undertaking their defensive responsibilities.
The date of the letter is intriguing.
You've got to wonder if there's a correlation in this short time period between the letter being sent and the assassination.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this content.